Thanks for listening to Live Forever Young Radio. Did you know that about 80% of chronic diseases are linked to poor lifestyle choices? Lifestyle changes don't have to be drastic, and in today's show, Bob and Rollie share some prior podcasts that can help you make meaningful changes in your life without having to turn it upside down. From habit management to inflammation reduction, heavy metal toxicity, and more, this show has what you need to know to live your best life and be your best you. So sit back, relax, and get ready to live forever young.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Live Forever Young Radio. I am Bob, and I'm here with Rollie. Rollie, how are you doing today?
Good as usual, Bob. How's it going, man?
Good as usual for me, too. And today we are going to talk about lifestyle changes.
Yes.
And we're going to talk about the typical things that people might need to make changes about in their lifestyle. And we're going to give specific suggestions about what people can do. And we're going to refer to some of our other podcasts where if people want to learn more about a particular type of lifestyle change they can make, they have a new reference for it.
Yeah, we'll point you in the right direction. It's going to be a good time.
All right, good. Now, Rollie, there's a poll that was done. It was in 2018.
Okay.
And it was of medical doctors and nurses, and they were being questioned about what they do in discussing lifestyle changes with their patients.
Like, do they give it? Do they not? Does it help? Doesn't it?
Right.
Okay.
And the reason is that doctors and nurses know, as well as pretty much everybody knows, that your health and wellness is related to your lifestyle.
Yes.
And so doctors have somebody come and visit at the office, and they are not exercising. They're overweight or obese. They have diabetes. They're smoking cigarettes or other things, and they are compelled to say, hey, you got to quit smoking. Hey, you've got to lose some weight. You would think they would do that all the time, right?
Right.
Fact is, the poll showed only 61% of the doctors do that.
Really?
And only 53% of the nurses.
Really? So only a little more than half on each side. Those they give information. They give information and they give lifestyle advice. But the others don't even. Whether they just don't or they don't bother. Or
they don't. And so they
that
don't.
Sucks.
Now, even the ones that do have a high level of frustration because they have a general readiness to believe that their patients are not going to follow their advice.
So
they feel frustrated about the whole situation.
Okay.
So here's what you have. You have people that are sick. This is why they're going to the doctor. They're sick because of their lifestyle. The doctor may or may not give them advice about what it is they need to change, maybe based on their blood work, their vitals, etc. And if they do, the patients generally don't follow the advice.
That's horrible.
Now, we know also that if people have a sentinel event, a big problem, they have a heart attack, they get diagnosed with cancer, something like this, they're much more likely at that point to change their lifestyle. All right, but who wants to wait until that occurs?
Right.
So what we're going to do today is we're going to hit on some of the main things that are lifestyle changes that we know lead to that need to be made, or you're going to have some type of a disease. For example, heart disease. We know that smoking and a bad diet and lack of exercise all are going to lead to heart disease, and that's the number one killer.
Right.
Right. And
Number
we
one
know
in America.
that almost every single problem related to heart disease, all million people a year that die from heart disease, could be prevented with lifestyle changes.
Correct.
So does it sound like it's an important podcast?
Well,
when you put it that way?
I think when you put it that way, we better all make sure we listen.
So here's the deal. So smoking obviously has been getting less and less. Less people are smoking. That's a really good thing. But still a lot of people are still addicted to smoking cigarettes.
Right.
Okay. And we know that if you stop, you're going to have less of a chance of getting cancer, like lung cancer.
Right.
You're going to have less of a chance of having heart disease. You're going to have less of a chance of having a stroke.
Hypertension and all that stuff.
Right. And so what is it that people can do that we have information for them on how they might be able to stop smoking, right? We have a podcast on habits, habit management, and it's called Tiny Habits.
Right. It's one we did not too long ago, and it kind of goes over and gives some really great tips on how to work a new habit into your everyday routine with an actual way to go, the ABC. Of tiny habits. So check that out. It's on Live Forever Young Radio. Definitely take a look. That will help.
Based on a book by B.J. Fogg, who's a very famous psychologist. And with smoking in particular, a lot of it is what we call paired associations. So I was out at dinner the other night. It was an outdoor restaurant.
Okay.
And the people next to us were eating. As soon as they finished eating their main course, the man got up, put a cigarette in his mouth while he was at the table, and got up and walked over to the balcony with the cigarette in his mouth and lit the cigarette, smoked, and came back. Okay? Then they ordered dessert. He ate his dessert. He put another cigarette in his mouth, went out, smoked another cigarette, came back. They had an after-dinner drink, Irish coffee, something like that. After he finished with that, put another cigarette in his mouth, went out, and smoked a third cigarette. Okay?
Man.
Now that's a habit.
That's
right?
definitely more of a habit.
After dinner, after dessert, after his after dinner drink, right?
Wow.
And it looked to me like this is just what he did.
Right.
Right? This was his habit. It's paired association. Oh, I'm done with dinner. I better go have a cigarette.
Right.
Did he really need to have a cigarette? Or was it because there's this association of dinner's over, I better have a cigarette?
Actually, maybe it's more like something like he enjoys and he gets enjoyment from dinner. And so he wants to pair the enjoyment from dinner with the enjoyment of a cigarette, because really, in all actuality, this isn't doing it for him.
Right.
So he's pairing these two things together to get some sort of enjoyment out of it. So either way, don't smoke.
Either way, notice it. Either way, if you're going to use the tiny habit technique, the first thing is you have to notice these
what you're
associations.
Doing. Right.
Okay. So then instead of getting up from dinner after your main course and going to have a cigarette,
right,
find something to replace that with.
Right. Do something different.
Drink a glass of water. Okay. Whatever it's going to be.
Right.
And then celebrate when you have your first success.
Right.
So you can do it again and again.
Right.
And so that's why it's worth it going and watching that podcast on habits.
Yep.
Okay. Second thing that we can talk about is lack of exercise.
Right.
All right. So people are sitting, right? And what do they say? Sitting is the new smoking.
Yes, that's true. I've heard
It's
that
as
before.
bad for you as smoking.
Yes.
Sitting all the time and not getting up and moving around and exercising. Okay. So again, you can use tiny habits in regard to getting in the habit of exercising. But we also have a podcast where Dave Spinelli was here, sitting right where you are,
Yep,
as our guest, and he talked about the importance of exercise and gave us some tips about that as well.
Yeah, he's a private trainer. He does personal training for people, and we've known him for a couple of years. He gave us some really good information. Told us about a book by Ravikant. What was the name of the book?
Yeah. Can we remember that one?
Love yourself like your life depends on it. We got it.
That was it.
Yes, and that was a really good book he introduced us to. And so when you're doing this and you're thinking about just the physical aspect of exercise, one of the things that he goes into is the mental side of it. And so that's definitely why you'd want to see that. It really give you some
Very
good
high
insight.
level consultant for people that want to use exercise to improve their life.
Right.
And this is a lifestyle change without any doubt.
Right.
Go from being a couch potato to exercise.
Exactly.
Right? Now, we had this occur with a couple, and this relates to the next thing that we're going to talk about, which is poor diet, right?
Right.
And your nutrition. And we had a person call us a few years ago who was about 60 years old, and he had heard us on a podcast, and he said, I would like to get some of your products that will help me with my energy and strength and stamina,
Right.
which we did. And he went from taking a very short walk each day out in front of his house to being able to walk up a hill farther away from the house,
Right.
and then back and forth as he got better, and then he started jogging up the hill.
Right.
And
I
back.
remember getting these emails from him.
And then he joined the gym.
Yes, I remember.
And he would walk each day up and down this hill and go to the gym for an hour and work out. Then he called us to say, my mom is 97.
Yep.
She is homebound. She goes from her bed to the couch to the bathroom
Right.
and the doctor.
I remember
And that's
this.
it. That's all she can do. She doesn't leave. She can't get out of the house. Right?
Doesn't go out of the house.
So we want to know, can I give my mom some of this nutrition? Right? Which we did.
We were like,
yes.
yes, of
Yeah,
course.
and very small amounts to
Start
start
out
with.
slow, though, right.
Long story short, she now goes to the gym with her son. Her favorite thing at the gym is Zumba classes.
Yes, she's the
And
Zumba grandma.
I think she must be 99 by now.
Dude, she's definitely. I'm pretty sure they're still ordering. Last time I saw, and so
so this is poor diet and excessive consumption of sugar.
right.
Too many bad fats, not taking the right nutrition products that give you amino acids and give you metabolic enzymes, coenzyme Q10, all the different
Fundamentals of nutrition.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
And so this is the third thing that we wanted to talk about. Now, all throughout our podcast list are information about, for example, the supplement pyramid
Right.
and things like that, where people can go watch those podcasts and get that type of information.
Absolutely.
Right. And that leads to the fourth thing, which is inflammation.
Mm-hmm.
And luckily for people that begin to use the types of products that we have that help them to get energy and stamina so that they can get up, move around, exercise, is keeping your inflammation down.
Yeah, I actually just talked to a guy named George on the phone who was talking about how much it's really helped. The barley specifically has really helped to lower the inflammation so he can repair the issues that he's dealing with, the health issues he's dealing with. And he says through that and exercise specifically, he mentioned he's exercising a lot more lately and watching his diet, which is just funny that I just talked to him on the phone less than an hour ago.
Yeah.
Actually, you were right next to me while I was talking
I was
to
in
him.
the office.
Yeah,
next
you
to
were in the office next to me. And he was telling me specifically how those three main things really helped him to conquer the health issue he had. And without, he knew without the ability to get good, high-quality antioxidants like the ones you could find in our barley to help fight the free radicals and the inflammation and all that stuff so you can repair quicker than you can actually burn, he knew he wouldn't have a chance. Yep. But with that help and with those little changes, what we're talking about, these lifestyle changes, he was able to really, he said, completely turn it around. So
that's great. And, we also have another whole podcast just on inflammation. People can,
yes, absolutely.
can go and look at.
It's called Inflammation and Your Health. Check it out.
Yep. Now, the other thing, Rollie, is stress. Right?
Oh, right.
And we always say at Boomers Forever Young that you can take all the best nutrition products in the world,
right,
which you can if you engage with us, but if you're still under stress, you're probably still going to have some problems.
Oh, 100%. Right. I mean, we actually, not only do we say that, but we actually witness that. We witness people that call us and say, hey, I've got all this going on in my life, and I got this, and I got that, and I got, oh, by the way, I got this health problem, and my wife's dead, and she died about a year ago, and my mom's about to die of cancer, and I feel like I'm getting something sicker. All that stuff really builds up, and even if, again, like Bob said, if you take the best thing that you can find in the world that'll, cure anything, it won't do anything if your mind isn't right and your stress level is extremely high. It just won't.
And one of the things that helps immediately for people is finding their inner balance.
Yes.
Right? So we have a podcast called that, and it talks about a company called HeartMath.
Right.
And it talks about a little device they have that helps you to manage your stress, like right out of the box. Clip this device to your ear, download the app, and it takes you through a series of little exercises, and right away your stress starts to diminish.
It works with any smartphone, and it's actually a wireless device that Bluetooths to your phone. And
very easy to use.
It's super easy.
And really great information in that podcast, most of it right directly from the HeartMath Institute.
Yeah, called How to Achieve
itself.
Your Inner Balance. That's our other podcast on how to de-stress.
Yep. You know, we also had a guest, Lucy Forsting.
Oh,
who
yeah.
was here.
We love Lucy.
And she did a podcast with us called Finding a New Perspective.
Yes.
And this is important. This is important in regard to lifestyle changes because a lot of people feel a lack of purpose in their life. They don't have any goals. They don't have anything to look forward to. And so it leads to this lethargic type of lifestyle, okay, because they don't feel any motivation.
Right.
And in that podcast with Lucy, talks a lot about that, and people need to find a purpose, right?
Right.
Even if it's something very small, where they leave the house, go to their church or wherever they want to go, and do some volunteer work.
Right.
And this is easy kind of state of mind to fall into, is a lack of purpose, and it goes along with feeling depressed. And so people can also watch our podcast on depression,
Yes.
okay, and really make this one of your priorities to change, is to find a small purpose and pursue it.
Right. A lot of the times you hear people who are retired say, "Oh my God, I don't have anything to do. I feel like I don't have a purpose." And it's because you get used to working. You know, you get used to being productive. A lot of people don't really realize the health benefits of feeling and being productive physically and mentally. Like if you're not out there being productive, then your mind thinks, well, time to shut down. You're not going to need me
time
anymore.
to sit on the couch and eat sugary foods.
Right, and that's where the downfall and the decline begins. So keep up the work, keep up the health.
Right. Now, the last thing is, people wouldn't think of this as a lifestyle issue.
Right.
It really is. Toxicity.
It is.
Right? So the reason it's a lifestyle issue, and it's kind of a habit issue as well, is, for example, we know that one of the leading causes of disease, including cancer, is people leaving their shoes inside the house. They walk around during the day, they pick up toxins from the sidewalk, tire dust, fumes from gasoline fumes,
Everything.
and
Asphalt.
pesticides, right? And they come into the house, they leave their shoes inside the house, and it's off-gassing toxins all during the evening and nighttime, and this is a big problem. So people need to figure out a way for their circumstance to leave their shoes outside the house. Okay. Another lifestyle is related to the diet. Lots of people like eating meats that are cooked a lot. People like barbecuing, grilling, frying foods, baking foods, particularly meats. And when you cook them over 300 degrees on heat with no moisture, you create a situation where the sugar and the fat in the meat combine together, creates glycation, and it creates a significant amount of toxicity, which is carcinogenic.
Right.
Okay. And so people need to learn to cook their meat, either slow cook on low temperature or add liquid when you're cooking. So if you're going to prepare chicken, put it in a casserole dish, add some liquid, add some chicken broth,
Chicken broth's
spices, and allow your chicken to bake in this liquid. The liquid will create steam and it'll block that glycation.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then the other thing is with heavy metals. Okay, now people can be exposed to heavy metals, and it's not a purposeful lifestyle thing that they're doing.
Right.
But it's happening unbeknownst to them. But you have to pay attention to that, and you can learn about that from our podcast on heavy metals.
Yeah, actually, a lot of the things that people come into contact with have to do with jobs they perform, things they do, and a lot of that exposure you need to learn how to mitigate. Right, that's one of the things. Like if you come into contact with heavy metals, how can you mitigate that exposure if it's something that you need to do, for a job? And so there's a lot of good ways to do that, but one of the best ways that you want to do is learn how to kind of, use the detoxifying agents that they have, things like zeolite that can help remove it and things like that. But the podcast is called Heavy Metal Toxicity and What to Do. So go check that out for some good tips on if you know how to mitigate exposures to that stuff.
Yep. So just as like a conclusion, Rollie, again, most diseases that people get as they get older, and most of the reasons why people die, are because of their lifestyle, right? And if people can recognize the things that need to be changed, have techniques and strategies for how to change them, a support group, and a sincere commitment to do it, you can change your lifestyle towards a more healthy lifestyle and live a really, really long, happy life without the fear of getting adult onset diseases as you get older. And that's why we wanted to go to the trouble today to do this particular podcast. I think it's can be very encouraging for people to hear this type of information that will lead them to make these changes, with a whole long list of references to help you along the way as you pick 1, 2, 3 of these that you want to change for yourself.
Yeah, and if what we went over, you know, the podcasts and the information makes sense to you, or if there's something missing, or if you said, hey, well, what about this? Send us that information. You know, you can email us at boomerboost@boomerboost.com, and we could always do a follow-up show. But don't forget to check us out, liveforeveryoungradio.com. Also, our YouTube is Boomers Forever Young, our YouTube channel. Go there and check out our playlists with all these podcasts that we're talking about, is where you can find it. There will be a playlist, Live Forever Young Radio, on Boomers Forever Young YouTube. And don't forget, while you're there, give us a like and a subscribe. We would love to have you join the Boomer community out there. So thanks, guys.
Thank you, Rollie, and thank you, everyone, for watching and listening to Live Forever Young Radio, and we'll see you on the next show.
Thanks for listening to Live Forever Young Radio. Check us out at liveforeveryoungradio.com.